That's not hype. That's not fantasy. That's the kind of quiet miracle that has already happened before, and it could happen again. Most people think the treasure hunt is over. They believe all the valuable coins were found decades ago by experts with white gloves and magnifying lamps. But the truth is much more unsettling. Some of the most valuable coins in American history were discovered by ordinary people who had no idea what they were holding. And one of the most shocking examples comes from a coin minted in 1987 at the Denver Mint, hiding in plain sight for nearly 4 decades. Back in 1987, America was busy. Reagan was president, gas was cheap, and pennies were everywhere. The U.S. Mint was striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, day and night, pushing them out into circulation with almost no one paying attention. These were supposed to be ordinary coins, made of copper-plated zinc, worth exactly 1 cent. But something went wrong. Very wrong. At the Denver Mint, a small number of pennies were struck in a way they were never supposed to be. A rare error slipped through quality control, unnoticed, undetected, and released into circulation. No announcement, no recall, no warning. Just a handful of coins quietly entering wallets, cash registers, and coffee cans across America. For years, they sat there, spent on candy, tossed into tip jars, dropped under car seats. While collectors chased older dates, silver coins, and famous rarities, this modern penny was ignored. And that's what makes the story so powerful. Because sometimes, the biggest treasures are hidden in the most ordinary places. Imagine being the person who finally notices it. Not because you're rich, not because you're connected, but because one day you decide to look a little closer. That moment has turned regular people into millionaires before. And it all starts with knowing exactly what to look for. The 1987 Lincoln penny that collectors are hunting isn't valuable just because of its age. It's valuable because of what went wrong during its creation. First, check the date. It must say 1987. Then look just below the date. You should see a small D mint mark, showing it was struck in Denver. That alone doesn't make it rare. Millions of 1987 D pennies exist. This is where most people stop looking. And this is where they miss everything. Next comes the weight. This step separates pocket change from potential fortune. A normal 1987 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams because it's made of zinc with a thin copper coating. But the ultra-rare version weighs closer to 3.1 grams. That heavier weight means it was struck on a copper planchet that should never have been used. A leftover blank from an earlier era, accidentally fed into the presses. That single mistake changes everything. Because a copper 1987 D penny should not exist. And when something shouldn't exist, collectors go crazy trying to find it. Now look at the color and sound. A genuine copper example will have a deeper, richer brown tone, not the dull grayish look of zinc pennies. Drop it gently on a table. Copper has a sharper, ringing sound. Zinc sounds flat and lifeless. It's subtle, but once you hear it, you'll never forget it. Then comes the strike itself. Many of these rare error pennies show unusually strong details. Lincoln's portrait may look sharper. The lettering may appear bolder. Sometimes there are die characteristics that experts recognize instantly. This is why professional authentication is critical. But you don't need to be an expert to spot the warning signs that you're holding something special. Here's the emotional part no one talks about. The people who discovered coins like this weren't searching for millions. They were searching for answers. One man weighed a penny out of curiosity. Another woman noticed the color looked different. Someone else heard a strange sound when it hit the table. Curiosity was the key, and curiosity can be learned. Think about how many pennies you've ignored in your life. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, each one dismissed as worthless. Now imagine that just one of them could be worth over $1 million. That realization hits hard, because it means the difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't luck. It's attention. Collectors believe that only a tiny number of these 1987 D copper pennies exist. Some estimates say fewer than a dozen. That scarcity is exactly why prices soar. When one appears, bidding wars erupt. Wealthy collectors don't hesitate, because they understand something most people don't. Opportunities like this don't come twice. This is where dreams and reality collide. A single penny, bought with 1 cent of metal, suddenly becomes the kind of asset that can pay off a house, fund retirement, or change a family's future. That's the quiet power of numismatics. It rewards patience, curiosity, and belief. And yes, $1 million doesn't sound real when we talk about pennies. It sounds absurd, but history proves otherwise. Rare error coins have crossed the $1 million mark more than once. And when collectors talk about the 1987 D copper Lincoln cent, they don't laugh. They lean in. If you think this is impossible, remember this. Every famous coin discovery started as a normal day. No spotlight, no music, just someone looking at something everyone else ignored. That's why this story matters. It's not about money. It's about possibility. So tonight or tomorrow morning, when you pass a jar of old change, don't rush past it. Take a second look. Weigh a few pennies. Listen to the sound. Trust your curiosity. Because history isn't always locked in museums. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in a drawer, waiting for the right person to notice. Just a 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, sitting quietly in pocket change. And some examples have shocked collectors by selling for figures that brush past $1 million. This isn't a rumor. This isn't fantasy. This is one of those rare moments where history, mistakes, and pure luck collide. Picture the mid-1980s. The U.S. Mint is pumping out billions of pennies. Machines are running nonstop. Dies are wearing down, getting replaced, sometimes a little too late. Nobody's slowing things down to double-check every detail. That's when strange things slip through. Tiny mistakes. Microscopic doubling. Details only visible if you know exactly where to look. Back then, these pennies bought bubblegum. Today, the right one could buy you a house. Now imagine a kid in 1984 dumping loose change on the kitchen table. His dad tells him to put the pennies in a jar. One of those pennies goes in. Decades pass. The jar gets shoved into a drawer. The kid grows up. Bills pile up. Life gets heavy. And that penny just sits there, waiting. That's the part that hits collectors hardest. These coins weren't locked away in vaults. They lived normal lives, just like we did. Here's where the story tightens. The 1984 Lincoln penny you're looking for has no mint mark. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. Look just below the date. If you see no P, no D, no S, that's your first checkpoint. Most people never even notice mint marks, which is why so many of these slipped by unnoticed for years. Now slow down. This is where attention matters. The truly valuable 1984 no mint mark penny is famous for a dramatic double die error on the front. This isn't the kind of doubling you see from wear or damage. This is bold, intentional looking. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Start with Lincoln's ear. On rare examples, the ear looks doubled, almost like a shadow or a second outline beneath it. Collectors call it the doubled ear, and it's one of the strongest indicators. Move your eyes to Lincoln's eye and cheek. The contours may look thicker than normal, almost swollen. Then look at the word liberty. On the valuable coins, the letters appear doubled, especially the B and E. It can look like the letters are vibrating. Now check the date. Focus on the numbers 1, 9, 8, and 4. On common pennies, the numbers are clean and sharp. On the rare double die examples, you'll see separation in the numbers, like a faint second impression slightly offset. This doubling came from a misaligned die during the hubbing process. And once that die was used, every penny struck from it carried the same hidden signature. Pause for a second and let this sink in. A single moment of human error nearly 40 years ago created a modern treasure. And unlike ancient coins, these were never recalled. They went straight into circulation. That's why collectors still search rolls today. That's why people are still finding them in jars, drawers, and old coffee cans. Let's talk about the metal, because this matters too. A 1984 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. It's copper-plated zinc, not solid copper. If it weighs much more or less, that's a red flag. Use a digital scale if you have one. Serious collectors always do. The surface should show a normal brown or reddish tone, not peeling or bubbling. Extreme damage can kill the value, even on a rare error. Now imagine sending one of these pennies to a professional grading service. You wait weeks. Your heart pounds when the package comes back. You open it. Inside is a slab with a label that reads 1984 double die obverse, no mint mark. High grade. Suddenly, that penny isn't pocket change anymore. It's a documented rarity. That's when auction houses get interested. That's when numbers like $1 million start getting whispered instead of laughed at. Collectors love this coin because it proves something powerful. You don't need to be rich to find treasure. You don't need insider connections. You need knowledge, patience, and the willingness to look closer than everyone else. This penny rewards curiosity. It rewards people who slow down. Think about how many times you've dumped change without looking. Think about how many pennies you've spent on nothing. Every serious collector has that one story, the one that got away. The coin they wish they'd checked. The jar they wish they'd searched sooner. This 1984 penny is responsible for a lot of sleepless nights. And here's the inspirational truth. The people who found these didn't expect to. They weren't hunting for $1 million. They were just curious. They checked their change. They looked at details others ignored. And sometimes, that's all it takes for history to tap you on the shoulder. So after this, don't rush. Go to your drawer. Grab that jar. Pull out the pennies. Look for 1984. Check for no mint mark. Study the ear, the eye, the date, the word liberty. Use a magnifying glass. Take your time. Because hidden among the ordinary is something extraordinary. But because this ordinary-looking 1948 Lincoln penny might be worth $1.8 million. And the most shocking part? People spend these every single day without ever knowing what they're holding. Let me take you back for a moment. The year was 1948. America was rebuilding after World War II. Factories were running non-stop, families were starting over, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies as fast as humanly possible. Speed mattered more than perfection. And that's exactly how history made mistakes, valuable ones. Somewhere in that rush, a small number of 1948 Lincoln pennies were struck in ways that were never supposed to happen. No mint mark. Subtle errors. Sharp details where there shouldn't be. Coins that slipped through quality control and quietly entered circulation. Nobody celebrated them. Nobody protected them. They went straight into pockets, piggy banks, coffee cans, and dresser drawers. Fast forward decades later, and collectors started noticing something strange. A few 1948 no-mint mark pennies were different. Not just rare, but extraordinary. The kind of coin that makes seasoned collectors go quiet when they see it. The kind that can sell for $1 million when everything lines up just right. Now here's where you need to pay close attention, because this is where most people miss their chance. First, the basics. A true 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln penny means it was struck in Philadelphia. That part alone doesn't make it valuable. Millions were made. But value comes from the details. The small things most people never look at. Hold the coin under a light. Look at Lincoln's date. On the rare versions, the numbers are sharp and strong, not weak or faded. The 1 and the 9 should stand tall. The 4 should have clean angles. The 8 should look full and rounded, not flat or mushy. Now move your eyes to Lincoln's face. Check the jawline, the cheek, and the hair above the ear. High-grade examples show crisp detail, almost like the coin was struck yesterday. No flatness, no blur. This level of preservation is where the price begins to climb toward $1 million. Flip the coin over slowly. On the back, you'll see the 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. Look closely at those wheat lines. On the most valuable examples, each line is distinct. The lettering should be bold. The rim should be complete and even, not weak or broken. Here's the part that makes collectors' hearts race. Errors. Some 1948 no-mint mark pennies show doubling in the date or lettering. That means the design was impressed twice, slightly offset. It's not damage. It's not wear. It's a minting mistake, and it can multiply the value instantly. Also watch for unusual metal color. A normal 1948 penny should be copper, but a few were struck on the wrong planchet or with abnormal metal composition. These are extremely rare. If your coin looks lighter, heavier, or just off, never clean it. Cleaning can destroy hundreds of thousands of dollars in value in seconds. Now let me tell you why this coin hits people emotionally. Because it represents missed chances and second chances. I've heard stories of collectors who ignored jars of pennies for years. One man found a 1948 penny while sorting change with his grandson. He almost tossed it back into circulation. Something made him pause. That pause changed his life. That's why this coin matters. It's not locked in a museum. It's not buried in a vault. It's hiding where nobody looks anymore. In old coffee cans. In inherited collections. In drawers you haven't opened since the 1990s. Every minute or two, people unknowingly trade away potential fortunes for convenience. They assume pennies are worthless. They assume the treasure has already been found. But history proves otherwise, again and again, that if you have a 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, protect it. Store it safely. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. If it shows sharp detail, possible doubling, or unusual characteristics, have it professionally graded. That single step can be the difference between pocket change and $1,000,000. Collectors age 30, 40, 50, even 70 remember when pennies still mattered. This coin is a reminder that patience, curiosity, and knowledge still pay off, sometimes in the most unbelievable ways. And remember, fortunes don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they whisper from the bottom of a drawer, waiting for someone curious enough to listen. A regular-looking 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right set of eyes to finally notice it. Most people believe all valuable pennies are ancient. They think treasure has to look old, worn down, or dramatic. That belief has caused ordinary people to spend decades unknowingly passing over life-changing money. In 1994, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck and released into circulation. They were spent at gas stations, dropped into tip jars, tossed into couch cushions. And among them, a tiny number were born different. Here's where the mystery begins. In the mid-1990s, the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins quickly. Machines ran nonstop. Dies were down. Mistakes slipped through. And when mistakes slip through at the Mint, they don't announce themselves. They quietly escape into circulation, looking just like every other coin, waiting years or even decades to be discovered. Picture this. A retired man cleaning out a desk drawer he hasn't opened in years. Inside, loose change from another era. Receipts, paper clips, dust. He almost dumps the pennies into a jar without looking. Almost. One penny catches the light just a little differently. No mint mark. Slightly off. Something feels wrong in the best possible way. That moment, right there, is how million-dollar discoveries begin. The 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not valuable just because it lacks a letter under the date. No mint mark simply means it was struck in Philadelphia, and most Philadelphia pennies don't carry one. The real value comes from rare error combinations tied to certain 1994 strikes that should never have made it out alive. This is where you lean in. The first thing to look for is the date itself. On some ultra-rare examples, the numbers show subtle doubling, especially on the 9 and the 4. Not cartoonish doubling. Soft, ghost-like doubling that looks like a shadow following the numbers. This kind of doubling comes from a misaligned die, not damage, and it's one of the most important signs collectors look for. Now rotate the coin slightly under a light. Look at Lincoln's portrait. On potentially life-changing examples, you may see extra thickness around his jawline, his ear, or the rim of his coat. Again, not obvious at first glance. The kind of detail you notice only when you slow down and really look. Most people never do. Flip the coin over. The reverse can be even more telling. Examine the letters in 1 cent and United States of America. On rare error strikes, these letters may appear slightly doubled, stretched, or uneven. The spacing can feel just a bit off, like the coin was struck with a die that had already lived too hard a life. Here's another attention reset, because this part matters more than people realize. Weight. A standard 1994 Lincoln penny should weigh about 2.5 grams because it's copper-plated zinc. But some of the most valuable error coins come from planchet mistakes. If your 1994 no mint mark penny weighs more or less than it should, that's a massive red flag in the best way. A penny that doesn't match its expected weight deserves professional attention immediately. Now look at the edge. A normal penny shows a thin copper plating over a gray zinc core. On extremely rare pieces, that plating may be incomplete, uneven, or missing in places. That kind of flaw isn't damage. It's a manufacturing error, and collectors pay extraordinary money for authenticated examples because the coin market doesn't reward age alone. It rewards rarity, mystery, and survival. A genuine, high-grade 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny with the right combination of errors is the kind of coin that makes headlines. It's the kind of coin auction houses whisper about before it ever hits the stage. It's the kind of coin that turns pocket change into million-dollar conversations overnight. Imagine the emotional whiplash. One moment you're holding a penny you've seen 1,000 times. The next, experts are talking about $1 million, provenance, certification, and private collectors competing for ownership. That shift happens faster than you think when the right coin appears. And here's the most powerful part of this story. These coins were never recalled. They were never destroyed. They were never separated from circulation. They were spent, used, forgotten, which means the odds aren't zero. They're sitting in drawers, jars, coffee cans, and inherited collections across the country. Every serious collector knows that the most dangerous assumption is believing the good stuff has already been found. History proves that assumption wrong again and again. The greatest discoveries are usually made by people who decided to look one more time. If you think you found something unusual, never clean the coin. Never polish it. Never make it look better. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, store it safely and compare it to verified examples. A magnifying glass, a scale, and patience are your best tools. If the signs line up, professional authentication is the only next step that matters. Some people search their whole lives and never find anything special. Others stumble across a once-in-a-generation coin while doing something completely ordinary. The difference isn't luck alone. It's attention. It's curiosity. It's the willingness to believe that something extraordinary could be hiding in something small. That 1994 penny you've ignored for years might not just be copper and zinc. It might be a story waiting to be told, a mistake that slipped through history's fingers, a reminder that million-dollar moments don't always announce themselves with fireworks. It's a penny, unassuming, ordinary at first glance, but hidden in plain sight is a coin that could change your life forever. A 2017 D. Lincoln penny, worth over $1 million. You read that right. One single penny, worth more than most of us earn in a lifetime. Now, how does a coin minted in 2017, barely 6 years ago, end up being so incredibly valuable? It all starts with a rare error, something that slipped through the U.S. Mint's quality control. This isn't a mistake that most people even notice. Only a keen eye, the kind of eye you develop after years of searching through pocket change, would catch it. This penny is a rare misstruck, with a double die on the reverse, meaning the details of Lincoln's iconic memorial appear slightly doubled. To the untrained eye, it's just a penny. But to collectors, it's pure gold, $1 million treasure hidden in your pocket change. Imagine the story behind it. Somewhere, someone spent years collecting coins without knowing the crown jewel was right under their nose. Maybe it was stuck in a change jar, buried in a sock drawer, or overlooked in a cash register. And then one day, that person held it up, and suddenly the world shifted. A penny, once worth a single cent, now worth over $1 million. That's not just luck. That's history. That's magic. That's the thrill of being a coin collector. So how do you spot it? First, check the date, 2017, with a clear D mint mark, meaning it was produced in Denver. Then, examine the details on the back. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. The lines, the columns, the tiny inscriptions. If they appear doubled or slightly misaligned, you might just be holding the real thing. Don't be fooled by wear or scratches. Even a worn penny can hide this kind of treasure. This is not a guess. This is precise, collectible magic. And here's the part that really hits home. Every coin has a story. This penny could have been dropped on the street, picked up by a kid, saved in a jar, forgotten for years, and yet it survived, waiting for the right person to notice. The anticipation, the mystery, the possibility that you could be the one to find it. That's what makes coin collecting irresistible. Every coin in your pocket could be hiding a secret worth a fortune. Think about the impact of holding something worth $1 million in the palm of your hand. Not just money, but history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery all rolled into one small, unassuming copper disc. It's the ultimate reminder that the extraordinary often hides in the most ordinary places. The key is attention, patience, and a willingness to look closer than anyone else. This 2017 D. Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a testament to perseverance, to curiosity, to the idea that life-changing treasures often go unnoticed until the moment they don't. Imagine the excitement, the adrenaline, the sheer disbelief when you realize what you're holding is worth more than most homes, more than some small businesses. And it all started with a simple habit, paying attention to the coins that most people toss aside without a second thought. Next time you dig through a jar of pennies or a pile of loose change, remember what's possible. A coin that looks ordinary could be extraordinary. A misstruck, double-die Lincoln penny from 2017, quietly waiting, could hold the power to transform a life. Every glance, Every careful inspection brings you closer to discovering that hidden treasure. To most, it's just a coin, copper-colored and small, easily mistaken for hundreds of others in your pocket change. But to the sharp-eyed collector, this coin is a hidden treasure, a 1952 D Mint Mark Wheat Lincoln penny worth over $1 million. Yes, $1 million. Imagine holding something that could change your life forever, tucked away in plain sight. The story of the 1952 D Lincoln penny begins in Denver, where it was struck over 70 years ago. Unlike the pennies you see every day, this one carries a rare combination of minting quirks and survival against time that makes it extraordinarily valuable. Most pennies from that era are common, but this particular coin has characteristics that set it apart, and collectors who spot it know instantly that they're looking at a fortune. What makes this penny so special? First, you need to look at the date. A crisp 1952 on the obverse is a start, but the magic lies in the D Mint mark, that small letter, often easy to miss, stamped just below the year. That D signifies it was minted in Denver, and in combination with its condition, it becomes extremely rare. But rarity alone doesn't make $1 million coin. You have to examine the details, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the clarity of the lettering, the deep, even fields around the wheat stalks on the reverse. This coin wasn't just minted. It was made to last, surviving countless hands, pockets, and drawers over the decades. Many collectors tell stories of finding pennies in circulation and dismissing them, only to later learn that what they tossed into a jar or left in a drawer was worth far more than their imagination could grasp. One collector I spoke to recalled searching through a bag of pennies from a relative's attic. Most were ordinary, bent and worn. But then, shining under the lamplight, was a 1952 D wheat penny, and it was immaculate. That single discovery was life-changing, a reminder that treasures are often hiding where we least expect them. Identifying this coin isn't just about spotting the year and the mint mark. You need to examine its condition. Is the strike clear? Are the wheat stalks defined? Are there no major scratches, dents, or discoloration? Even minor imperfections can dramatically affect the value. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or grading guides to make sure they aren't overlooking anything. And here's a secret. Many of these coins are still hiding in circulation, in dusty jars, old coin albums, or even tucked in books. Your ordinary change could be extraordinary without you even realizing it. The allure of the 1952 D wheat penny isn't just in its potential value. It's in the mystery of survival. Think about the millions of pennies minted in 1952. Most have been lost, spent, or damaged. Yet a select few survived, perfect or nearly perfect, waiting for the right eyes to find them. Every scratch-free coin has a story, a journey from the mint to a hidden drawer or a forgotten jar, now destined to create new stories for the lucky collector who discovers it. And there's a reason this coin inspires obsession. The emotional thrill of holding something so valuable, so rare, in your own hand, is unmatched. A single penny, quietly made in Denver decades ago, can embody history, luck, and potential fortune all at once. When collectors talk about life-changing coins, this is exactly what they mean. That penny could be the key to realizing a dream, paying off debts, funding adventures, or simply knowing you hold something that most people will never see in their lifetime. Every coin has its telltale signs. For the 1952 D wheat penny, sharp details, the correct D mint mark, and impeccable preservation are your guideposts. Learn to recognize these, and suddenly your routine coin sorting at the grocery store, your change in the car cup holder, or your grandfather's old coin box becomes an exciting treasure hunt. It's a hunt that has turned ordinary men into millionaires, all because they knew what to look for. Remember, this isn't just a penny. This is a 1952 D wheat Lincoln penny, one of the rare survivors from a bygone era, carrying a potential value over $1 million. The thrill isn't in imagining the money. It's in realizing it could truly exist in your possession. That excitement, that possibility, is what keeps collectors awake at night, scouring drawers and albums, hunting for the coin that could make them part of a very exclusive club.